Says it's starting. Here we go.
Oh, wow, look at that. We've got 30 people in here. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first post-SD Lite webinar. We're excited to see there are over 60 people registered, so a lot of interest in either SD Mobile or you, Carrie. So awesome. Well, we can go ahead and get started. As everyone knows this, or hopefully everyone knows, this will be recorded so that they can rewatch it if they're not able to watch the full thing, or if people hop on late, it will be uploaded onto our website. And if you have any questions for Carrie, you can type them in the chat, and we'll be able to see those and hopefully answer your questions. So Carrie, it's all yours.
Hey, so are the slides all skewy, or do those look right? Do I need to make some? They look off for me. Do they look normal for everybody else?
They look good to me.
Okay. They look stretched on my side. So, okay. All right. Hi. I hope everybody's having a good afternoon. Almost the end of the week. Yay. We're going to get right into talking about SD Mobile. If you're using SD Mobile already, hopefully you'll pick up a thing or two. And if you're interested in using SD Mobile and this is all new to you, then hopefully this will be a really good introduction for why you want to jump on board with using SD Mobile. All right. So the first thing is, well, why do you need to use, or why should you use SD Mobile? And there's a lot of really great reasons. So first is fast, reliable communication with your office. You know where your techs are on their route, which allows you to quickly react to unexpected delays by shifting work from one tech to another. You don't have to worry about trying to get a hold of a technician because his SD Mobile is just going to alert him to the fact that the office gave him new work. So you're able to really quickly react to anything that might happen during the day that is unexpected. Also, you're able to process parts right away for return visits. So if you have technicians who are, that turnaround time and that first time complete stuff is really important to you, then this good communication with the office is going to be really important. The next thing is going to be accuracy. So your routing is integrated with GPS, which allows your technicians to set the routes. Either you can do it for in the house for them and they can't change it, or your technicians can see it, and it allows them to have flexibility so that they can run the route the way that they see is best and most efficient. Then there's the Sentry functions, and the Sentry functions are going to help you make sure that you get accurate model and serial numbers. They're going to ensure that all parts are accounted for. And another thing that's super important is it's going to help you make sure that any cores that the technicians use get returned to the office for credit. And then the next thing that's going to be really important and helpful for accuracy and for your bottom line is the integration that we provide with Appliance Blue Book and My Parts Help. The next things that you can expect from SD Mobile is that it's a modern technology. One thing that you aren't going to have available when you're using just paper and pen or calling into the office is you're not going to have the insight into the part inventory. So with SD Mobile, your technicians are able to look at not only the inventory that they have, but also the inventory that the office has or that their coworkers have. So they might be able to complete a job by getting a part from a technician who's down the street, or to know that if they run back to the office that they can get a part and they can finish a job. The other modern technology that's available to them is the automated robocalls and call aheads to let the customer know that the technician is pending arrival. So that's something that's super helpful. And then, of course, there's customer satisfaction is a huge bonus that you get when you are using SD Mobile. There's easy communication. A lot of our customers, they don't want to be on the phone. They just want to have the information given to them. And so the communication with SD Mobile is fast and easy. With the integration with CyberOffice, they can know when their technician is coming with tech tracking. So not only do they get the call ahead that says, hey, your technician is on the way, but they can actually look online and see, oh, my tech is like 3 jobs from my house. So yes, I have time to run to the school and pick my kid up before the technician's going to be here. Nick, the cost per technician is $10 for the $10 per month per tech for the PC based version. So anything that's on a laptop, and then the SD mobile for the iOS or the Android is going to be $15 a month. All right. And then the next thing that's really important and a huge bonus for SD Mobile is the legal protection for you and for your customer. So first of all, there's the disclaimers. By having disclaimers, that protects you and your customer. By having the customer acknowledge that you're going to move a appliance, or that you are going to be working with water. So by having, yes, Nick, that's U.S. currency. So by acknowledging that you have those things and the customer knows the risks and you've correctly informed the risks to the customer, that's a huge protection for you. And then there's the ability to take before and after photographs of a job, so that if there was any prior damage before you move the equipment, you have a photograph of it. And that's all part of the ticket, and that becomes a permanent part of the job record. You have signed terms and conditions of not only your service, but also the warranty. And if you're using credit card processing through SD Mobile, then you are going to have chip compliant credit card transactions. So those are all bonuses and reasons to use SD Mobile. So then the next question is, well, how do I get SD Mobile? Well, SD Mobile, as I just mentioned to Nick and to the rest of you guys, is available for a laptop or a tablet. It's available for Android and for the iOS system. So that could be a phone or an iPhone or an iPad, an Android device, a tablet, or a regular PC. So if you're going to use it on a Windows device, you're going to get it off of Rossware's website. If you're going to use it on an Apple device, you're going to get it off the App Store, and an Android device, you're going to get it off the Google Play Store. And what you want to be looking for when you're looking on either of those two places is this kind of blue briefcase. Excuse me. All right. Once you have service or SD Mobile downloaded onto whatever device you're going to use it on, you're going to log in using the company ID and the password that was generated and given to you by Rossware. What's the time frame for a return on investment? I don't have specifics on that. It probably is going to be really dependent on what kind of devices you purchase, whether or not techs are using their own phones or stuff that you provide. It's going to depend on how much business you're doing. So there's, some different factors that you would want to look at in that, Michael. But you'd be welcome to have that conversation with any of the techs back or with Glade back at the office, and they could probably have that discussion with you and help you figure that out. So the next thing you're going to need is your tech's 2-letter code. So when you set up a tech in service desk, you assign them with a code. That's usually their initials, but it can also be a number like tech number 12. So that's what you're going to stick in here for that 2-letter code. And then you're going to assign them a password in that same spot. And the techs cannot reset their password if they forget. You're going to have to provide that to them. There are lots of different things that you can do in there, Nick. So that password is really easy to reset for them, but they can't reset that themselves. I know a lot of operations give all the techs the same password so that nobody can forget it. Once you are logged in, the first thing you're going to see is, if you have any jobs, you're going to see your job list, and it's going to have that little bell next to it and be green to let you know that you have this new job. And there's a lot of different places within the system that give you different menus and places that you can edit and manage things. And so the first thing we're going to talk about here is these different menus that are available. The first one you're going to see here on the left is the one where you're going to have the most frequently used options. And so that's why it's got that less up there in the upper left-hand corner. If you click there, that little menu is going to drop down out of the way. Then it'll say more, and you can pop it back up and you can see what's there. The one on The right-hand side, where you can see the technician's name, Jenny Jones, that one is accessed via the hamburger. And if you don't know what a hamburger is, I want to direct your attention to the upper left-hand corner of the screen where you can see those 3 flat lines next to the word job list. So those 3 lines there are called a hamburger. And when you click on that, that opens that other menu that's there on the right-hand side of the screen where you can see the navigation and the job list and such things. Now there's 3 different places, so it's really easy for the technicians to be able to access these settings. There's 3 different places that you can see where there's a gear icon. That's where they're going to access their personal settings for how they want to set up SD Mobile and what it looks like. So we're going to talk about a few of these settings here, the ones that aren't maybe super obvious. A hamburger and some fries, Doug. All right. So the first thing in the settings, so again, the settings is going to be that gear icon. The technicians can choose to use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze for their routing. And if they don't have those particular items installed, then the application will default to their browser. So once they have their browser or their application, it'll open up with the route. And they'll be able to see whether or not it makes sense to adjust the tickets at all and maybe go to a different job first. They'll be able to see, any traffic that's going on, which again allows them to be responsive and the office to be responsive if jobs need to be shuffled around for some unexpected occurrence. The next thing that you can see here is the parts pick list. This shows each job that he has scheduled for the day and any associated parts that he should have brought with him from the office. So these would be parts that aren't technically, that aren't on his truck for whatever reason, or that the office didn't provide for him. So anything that's been a special order part or something that was pulled out of stocking inventory and given to him specifically to complete the job. Now you might notice that there's a little checkbox here on the right next to this drain pump, and there's a barcode at the bottom. Those don't work currently, but those will have a future application with Service Desk where it's going to provide an integration where the technician's going to be able to say, yep, I truly have this in my possession. All right. If your technicians have a time card that they fill out, if you're using the daily time review, the DTR viewer in Service Desk, then this is where the technician can keep track of their punches and confirm if they've clocked in and clocked out of their day correctly. The next option that they're going to have on that menu at the bottom is the link to the future schedule viewer. So the future schedule viewer is what allows them to see what their jobs look like for the next few days. It's up to you as a company to decide whether or not you want to allow your technicians to see this or not. I know some companies don't want their technicians to know what their routes are until the day of. However, if you have technicians that are doing triage or just that you trust to be looking at their jobs and planning ahead so that they can be the most efficient technicians, then this is a really great tool. They can go straight to this on the internet, just go fs.rossware.net, or they can link directly to it from their SD Mobile. The other user settings that are available for them are beta updates. If you are somebody who's interested in being a beta tester and trying out the latest and greatest features, then you can turn this on. If you want to make sure that you're using the tried and true, where there's lots of people that are using it and it's probably very unlikely to have a bug, then you'll want to go ahead and turn this off. This next option is to automatically save any photographs you take to the gallery, which is a pretty good idea in case you mistake if you lose something or if you forget to attach it. It's saved there to your device. The refresh retry queue is just tries to send stuff up to the cloud again if it needs to. Auto clock in on work. I think that this is a really handy one to turn on. And that's basically as soon as you start to access anything having to do with a job, it clocks you into it, which I think is handy because I don't know about you, but a lot of times I sit down and I start working and then I was like, oh, shoot, I totally forgot to clock in. So that's a pretty handy tool. This gender is for the robotic message pronouns. So you can choose male, female, or they, them pronouns. So this allows for your customers to have a better idea of who the technician is that's going to come serve them. I don't know if we have anybody from Canada here, but if you choose to, you can get support for French or English. Automatically capitalize unit info sheets. So when you guys are gathering model serial numbers, a lot of times it's really handy to have that stuff all in capitals so that there's no mistaking I's for ones or O's for zeros. So by turning this in automatically, then you're good to go there. Let's see. Autofill prices. So when you are creating a part order request, if you turn this on, then SD Mobile will not autofill prices. So if your office wants you to go ahead and make a part request, but not quote any kind of pricing on it, that they will call and quote the pricing after they check on it, then you'll want to turn this on. Oh, that's a good thing to know, Alfonso. Thanks for letting us know. We should probably check on that. Okay, default send ticket. So this just is whether or not you want to, when you want to send an email, always, never, or if, only if it's not a third party. That's probably something that your office will dictate. And then default order disposition. So when do you as a technician pick up or order parts? Is it when you place the order, or do you purchase and pick up? So if you mostly purchase and pick up, then you might want to change this so that you're not constantly having to change it while you're in the process of ordering a part for the job. The next setting here is for notifications. So this is whether or not you want pop-up notifications on your phone or on your tablet. So this is my Android phone here, and you can see that I got multiple notifications here that I had new appointments. So you can choose to turn those on or off. The next pop-up notifications, these are within the application. So these are if you want to be doubly checked, if you want to double check the payments before you run a credit card, if you want Service Desk to remind you, hey, are you sure you want to punch in or punch out for the day? If you want to auto punch out at the end of a job, do you want to require a signature? Do you want SD Mobile to remind you to put a description for a photo when you take it? So these are things that as a technician, you might be like, oh, I do this 500 times a day. SD Mobile, stop asking me. So you have the option to turn these things off within the system. All right. Okay, so these are view settings for how the application looks within your system. So you've got a couple different ones. If you've been using Service Desk or SD Mobile for a long time and you like the way that the old interface looked, you can actually switch back to the old interface. Otherwise, you've got this option for multi-column work, hide I order. So if your office does not allow you to order parts, then you can hide that so you're never bothered by it. Location stack versus tabs, and then hiding the beta banner. So if you're somebody who wants to be a beta tester, you probably don't want to constantly see the warning that you're in a beta mode, so you can choose to hide that. And then the modern column or the multi-column work looks like this. So with it off, you can see that you have the different options. They're stacked on top of each other. So you've got signed disclaimers, verify unit information. That's the screen here on the right, versus the multi-column on is on the left. And you can see that you have a little bit more concise area. You can see more information all at once. And you can still minimize those and collapse them down so you don't have to see them, but it allows you to have more things side by side. And that'll depend on whether or not, you're holding your device horizontally or vertically. Okay, and then the stacked versus the tabs. When it's talking about stacked versus tabs, it's talking about who's the paying party and who's the location. So where are you going versus who's paying. So on the stacked here on the left, you can see the location is on top, designated with that red little house. And then the paying party is underneath it, designated with that blue $sign. Versus on the right, you have the tabs, and the paying party is on one tab and the go-to location is on another. All right. Another tool that's available to you from that pop-up menu at the bottom is the markup calculator. So if your office has tiers designated within Service Desk, you can have 5 pricing tiers. If they have tiers designated and you want to know what a part price should be without having to whip out your calculator and figure it out yourself, Service Desk has this handy calculator, or SD Mobile, excuse me, has this handy calculator already integrated into it. So you just go ahead and enter the part price and then select the markup tier, and it'll show you what the price should be. And it'll break down how it determined what that price is. So you'll have that information handy. All right, so now we're going to start looking at the jobs. So I log in and I've been given 3 jobs. I can see that my first one here, Brooks, is a COD because it just says Brooks. My second job, Sisson, is also a COD. And I've looked at the top one. I've looked at the Brooks job, which is why it's white, versus the Sisson job is green because I haven't opened it up and looked at it yet. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop into this Whirlpool Andrews job. So this is going to be a warranty job. And I know this by looking at it because it has the Whirlpool/Andrews. So this is going to be different for you depending on who you do work for, whether or not it's third party or a landlord-tenant situation. But basically, anytime you see this first designee/second designee, that's going to let you know that you're working on either a landlord-tenant but somebody is paying who's not necessarily the place where you're doing the work. All right. So on the first, when we get into the job, we see that we have 3 tabs across, or 4 tabs across the top. We have details, work, ticket, and photo. And when you're on your tablet or your phone, you can just swipe with your finger and you're going to swipe back and forth between those particular screens. At the top, you've got the invoice number. And again, you've got the paying party and the location. In this case, we're going to 1570 Southeast Lynch Road. I can click on that blue direction icon, and that's going to open up my mapping application so that I can go ahead and get turn-by-turn directions if I need it. If I need to call the customer, I can go ahead and I can click on that phone icon, and it's going to go ahead and launch the phone app on my phone so that I can call and talk to them and let them know, hey, I'm on the way, or I'm running late, or whatever that might be. There's information here about who created this job and when it was created. So in this case, it says it was created by XB. That tells me that it came from Service Bench. It's got a job count of 1, which means that it should just take me a normal slot amount of time. It's not going to take me twice as long or 3 times as long. It should only take me 1 time. There's been no money on this job received, and it's not a shop job. Let's see. It also lets you know all the model and serial information here and any extra information that's available. Yes, you can also send an on my way text. We're going to look at that here in just a second. All right, so we're going to go to the next screen. Oh, whoops, hold on. Down here at the very bottom, there's this little button that says open machine information. So there's another opportunity to open it besides right here, but if you click on this open machine information, I don't know, Philip, if what the text sees indicates if the customer confirmed the time window or not. I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. Okay. So you have an option to look up machine information in any of these entities. So if you have access to the service bench entitlements website or to appliance video or repair clinic, any of these things that you have access to, your technician can click on these and he can look at these resources from within SD Mobile. All right. Right here, so now we've switched to the work tab. You can see at the top here, we're in the work tab. And when I get into the work down tab, there's another one of these collapse, these more or less little buttons up here at the upper left-hand corner. And when I click on that to open it up, then I have options here. So I've got photo, arrive, departed, navigate, and call ahead. So this call ahead is what you're looking for there, Nick. So you can shoot out either a call or a text and let the customer know you're coming ahead of time. Brad, I can't answer that question, but I totally noticed that as well, that it kind of slides over a little bit. So that's probably something that needs to be looked at. It's not like a clean slide when you swipe from one screen to the other. When the technician calls from the mobile app, no, Sandra, they do not see the technician's personal cell phone number if they're using the call ahead. That goes through Twilio, through the service that you've used through Rossware. I don't know if on the first screen, the details screen, if they choose to call from there, if that shows the technician's phone number. I'm assuming it does, but the robocall or the text messaging is going to come through Twilio. All right. Okay, so we have gone to this job. We've opened up the work. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start working on this job. So we are working on a KitchenAid dishwasher. So we know that we're going to have to be working with water, and there's a good chance that we're moving this appliance. So we want to go ahead and open up these disclaimers and make sure that we have our customer sign the disclaimers before we even get started. So you're going to go ahead and just click on those. And when you click on them, it opens up this little screen with text that's provided by Rossware, but your office can switch this text around to whatever they like, or you can even add disclaimers other than the ones that we have provided for you by default. Or like I said, change this text to whatever suits your legalese. But once you have this pulled up, then the customer can just sign right here, and you're going to click save. And this signed disclaimer is going to become a permanent part of their job record. Yeah, the disclaimers are great, Nick. They really are. All right. So the next thing you're going to want to do, again, if you're moving something around, you're going to want to take pictures. So then you can go to this photo tab and you can go ahead and take pictures, and those will all be queued and ready to go when you're done with the job. And again, these become a permanent part of the job record, protecting you and the customer legally from whatever may come up. And it protects your technicians too. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do is look at the machine and verify that you are working on the correct machine. So that means checking the machine model and the machine serial number. Of course, checking the model and serial number is going to be very important if you're doing any kind of warranty work, because if you don't have the right information, you're not going to get paid on it. You're also probably going to want to confirm the purchase date and any of that information. So once you have verified that, you can check this box here and it'll show that it's verified. The office can make this mandatory. So if you want to make sure your technicians are always checking this, or at least that they're accountable if they say that they did, then you can make it so this is a required thing to do. Yes, Nick, Service Desk does keep the information in the system until until you get internet connection again. I'm going to flip back a few screens here real quick. Maybe. I don't. This is kind of slow. Okay, do you see right here this middle option where it says queue? It's a black box with a plus sign in the middle of it. That actually will show you what jobs are in the queue waiting, or what information is in the queue waiting to upload if you have lost internet connection. So you can actually see what's sitting there and hasn't been sent to the office yet. Okay. All right. The next thing is if you're using Bluebook, for flat rates or just for quotes in general, you're going to want to make sure that you have matched your machine to a Bluebook machine. So in Bluebook, you've got in SD Mobile, when you first get it and you first get Bluebook, you're going to go through and you're going to map what you have in Service Desk to what is on Bluebook. So if Bluebook has oven listed and you have double stacked oven listed, then you want to tell Service Desk and you want to tell Bluebook that those things are equivalent as far as you're concerned. So once you have matches, then the system will let you know. It'll look like this. So it'll say, okay, green, I have a match here between dishwasher and I have a match here between KitchenAid. And you always want to make sure you have that match, because that's how you're going to be able to look up flat rate pricing. And it's how you're going to be able to see the other information for like frequently used parts and a bunch of other stuff. So you want to make sure you have a match here. If you come to this screen and you don't have one, you can switch to the All tab and it'll show you everything. And then you can just scroll down and you can select your match yourself. All right. If you're using My Parts Help Diagnostics, the system's going to help your technicians diagnose the problem by showing you them the frequently used parts on this particular model. So you can see here, like this control board has been used 193 times on this particular model. And you can look down at these other things where you've got this positioner that's been used 21 times. So that information is super handy. If you're using that tool, it's available within Service Desk as well. You can really control and narrow down how you see this data if you choose to be part of this the diagnostics team. You can choose to only see diagnostics and shared information from within your peer group, or you can go ahead and you can choose to see everything. And if you're willing to also share information, then I believe that Service Company Solutions gives you a little bit of a discount on the service, because you're contributing to this massive database of where everybody can access and see what is the most frequently used parts and the frequent diagnoses for particular machines. All right. The next part you're going to do is you're going to scroll down and you're going to go ahead and describe the work performed. You mean like, I'm sorry, Danielle, I'm not following your question. You mean like they're just connecting to you to say, hey, I don't understand what's going on, or I'm not sure how to use this particular feature of SD Mobile? I do want to point out, and Danielle, you'll probably find this reassuring, is for a long time when your technicians were using SD Mobile, we had no insight into their application. So we could only connect to the office or to a laptop. But if a technician had a mobile device or a tablet, we didn't have the ability to connect in and actually see what they were doing. Instead, we could get them on the phone and we could talk with them and we could look at the data on the server and we could see what they were doing on the server, but we couldn't see what was going on their actual device. And that is no longer the case. We've changed to a different service provider for our tech support team. And so now your technicians can actually connect to tech support at any time. That's at no additional fee to you. That's included in the service that you subscribe to. And they can, those technicians can connect right up to us, and we can look at their phone or their laptop or their tablet and be able to see exactly what it is that they're experiencing trouble with. So if you guys are trying to troubleshoot stuff like that from the office, you don't have to. So we had a way to log in. I think maybe he might have been referring to how our tech support can log in and see their phones and their tablets now. I don't believe that you guys in the office have the capability to do that. If so, it's not something that I'm aware of. But like I said, Rossware tech support does have the ability to do that now, and we did not have the ability to do that in the past. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to describe the work that I did. I'm just going to type it in here. And obviously, this is going to be as brief or as detailed as you guys require from your technicians. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to indicate if we used or if we need to order parts. So if we are trying to figure out what parts that I might need to use on this job based on my diagnosis, then I'm going to go ahead and click on this MPH right here, and I can open up that My Parts Help Diagnostics. If I already know what I need, I can go ahead and click on Order Part, and it's going to provide me with the integration with my own stuff so that I can go ahead and choose what parts that I might need. You guys also have the opportunity to integrate with Smart Parts, which is a full listing or a nearly full listing of parts for a ton of models. Excuse me. Along with the manufacturer's suggested retail pricing. So that's an option for you to look up too. And then of course, if you've used a part from your truck on the job, then you're just going to hit on the blue wrench and you're going to go ahead and indicate that you've used a part. Now this right here in this red box is a part that the office provided to me to complete this job. So your technicians are required to indicate to you how they disposed of this part. Either they installed it or they didn't. So if they've used it, they're just going to click on that check mark, and that's going to indicate that they have. Otherwise, they're going to click on this X, and they're going to have to provide some kind of an explanation for why they did not use this part. When they indicate that they did not use the part, that's when it's going to show up. Oh, that's interesting, Danny. Probably you want to go ahead and just take a screenshot of that, and with a job and invoice, like an actual invoice number attached to it, maybe just do a test one, like a test ticket that's nobody's gonna play with or alter while they're out in the field, and then send that information to Rossware so that they can replicate it and fix that for you. It looks like it's probably just a rounding error. Does SD track truck inventory subtractions? Yes, Nick, we keep track of your inventory. Okay, Danny, I'm sure that he's working on it then. But as long as they know about it, they'll be able to follow up on it for you. Daniel, how do we know in the office that the technician used or did not use this part? So in your parts pick management, you're going to have a thing on the left-hand side where it's going to say that the technician needs to give you information back on the parts. And then in F8, okay, Brad, thank you for letting me know. I will pass that along that that's a problem for multiple people and see if they can get on that for you guys right away. All right. Anyway, when you go into your special order parts screen into F8 and look on the right-hand side, it's going to say in the notes section what the reason was that the technician didn't use the part. So you're going to have two places where you're going to see it. In the special order parts screen, it's going to show why he didn't use it. And then in the parts pick management, it's going to indicate that you need to get it back from him. Daniel, if you need some like one-on-one with that, we can give you some training. I think I briefly talked about it in the parts training that I did about 3 weeks ago, but I could do some more detailed if necessary. If we need more information on that. I know the training that we did last time was like an hour and a half. So we like ran over because there was so much information. All right. So once I've indicated that I've either used parts or ordered parts, or I've looked parts up, and obviously you're not going to use parts for every job, but if I do use parts, I'm going to put them here. The next thing for me to do as a technician is I'm going to indicate whether or not this job is complete or if follow-up is required. So if I've ordered parts and I need to come back and install them, obviously that's going to be follow-up required. If the job's totally done, I'm going to mark that as job complete. And if the customer was a no-show, you're going to go ahead and mark this as customer unavailable. Okay, so I went ahead and I ordered a part. So if you look at our describe work done, it said that we needed to replace the drain hose after we installed the drain pump. So now we have the drain pump on here with the blue check mark indicating that we used it. And then below that, we have the drain hose that we used off of our truck inventory. And because I indicated that I used this off of my truck inventory, Nick, this is going to take it out of the system when I go to, when I submit this to the office, it's going to automatically debit that out of the system, out of the inventory. Alrighty. This is, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my ticket screen and I'm going to go ahead and create my ticket. So if you're using Blue Book, this is how your Blue Book, well, your Blue Book may look differently because there's a lot more information. Mine's not very complete, but here are all flat labor codes for different services that I may have done on this particular machine. And I can go ahead and I can just select these and hit save. And these will add to my ticket and compile the total ticket price. All right. So once I select the flat rate, I can double check and I can see, you know, how this pans out or how this compares with what maybe I would have quoted, or I can adjust my rate if I need to. Oh, Steve, is it a iOS issue with the rounding? Interesting. Okay, so now that I have this ticket all complete, I can see that I've got my parts on here. I can see that I've got my labor. So the next thing that I want to go ahead and do is open this up so I can get a signature from the customer. I'm going to open that up. I have now this nice little ticket, and this is what's going to get sent in a copy to the customer, and this is going to go back to the office. Customer can sign right on my device. I'm going to go ahead and check that box and say finish. And then I'm going to go ahead and submit this to the office by hitting that green button at the bottom. Why do I have two slides in here that look the same? Sorry. All right. So now that that's been submitted, you can see here at the bottom that this is grayed out because I'm complete. That's done for me for the day. And now I can go ahead and I can move to my next job. So in this case, all right. So this case, we're going to go to this Sisson job. And it looks like I have a couple slides out of order. So I apologize for that. Let's see what I did here. All right, so we did it to this Sisson job, and I missed a slide somewhere, so I don't know what there happened there, but I told Service Desk that I used this joint. So I used this joint and I put it into the system, and when I did, Service Desk says, "Hey, you don't have that part in stock. Do you want to continue regardless?" So the issue here is that even though I physically have this part in my hand, somewhere in the system, Service Desk does not reckon that I have this particular part. So either when I did a truck inventory, it got lost, or maybe we didn't get something checked into the system correctly. And obviously we want to go ahead and make sure that we reconcile our inventory. So I clearly have this part in my hand. Well, I did. I put it on the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click confirm that I am positive that I installed this part. So I want to go ahead and continue. Know that when you do that, the office is going to get an alert, and the alert from the office will say, "Hey, this technician said that he used this part, but we don't show that he has it in his inventory." And that puts the burden back on the office to confirm that they have the inventory correct, and maybe they need to change something. But regardless, you went ahead as a technician and made sure that that part was accounted for. So that's good here. My next example is I'm going to order a new part. So I discovered that the filter housing on this machine was leaking. So I'm going to go ahead and order this because I don't have it on my truck. So I'm going to do a special order request. So when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that the office is going to order it. I go ahead and I put the part number in there. If I quoted the customer a price, I'm going to go ahead and put the price in there. So I'm going to put all this information in here so that I can go ahead and get the office to order this part for me. But when I do, I get this warning from the system. It says, hey, this is a part that your company has in stock. Are you sure you want to special order it instead? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say yes. But again, keep in mind that the office is going to get a notification that says, hey, this guy is ordering things that he should have on his truck. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that your technician is doing anything wrong. It could be that there's something that's not set up correctly. It could be, there could be multiple reasons, but these are the messages you may get, and just go ahead and click confirm that, yes, you know that this is that I should have this on my truck and I don't. Another screen that's part of the screen here is this taxes. So a lot of places have multiple tax schemes, and you may want to make sure that you have the right tax rate set up. So if you check this show reasoning box, Service Desk will explain to you exactly why they came up with a parts tax rate of $6, a labor tax rate of $0, and a total tax of $5.80, which makes, yeah. So it'll tell you exactly how it figured that out. So if you have a customer who's concerned and says, hey, the tax rate is too high, you'll be able to exactly point out and see why that tax isn't right. And you can go ahead and fix it if necessary. Jeff, are you talking about if the technician orders something and you find out that it's in stock? Like if the office knows that it's in stock later? Daniel, in your Service Desk settings, there is you put a little asterisk next to the name of the person that you want to get those alerts. Okay, Jeff. So in the office, what's going to happen is there's going to be an email that's going to be sent out to somebody that's going to say, hey, this technician ordered this particular thing that he should have had on his truck. So somebody in the office is going to want to determine why he didn't have that on his truck. The technician cannot view office stock. The technicians can preview and see where items are within their system. Yes. If you're sharing that information, my test data doesn't have it, so I don't have a screenshot of it. But yes, your technician can search and see if anybody across your entire system has that particular part, so they don't have to special order it. But if they do special order it, somebody will get an alert that says that they did that. So a lot of times, depends on the office, you may want him to go ahead and say, hey, I need to special order that. And then he can send the office an SD email and say, hey, I special ordered this thing because I don't have it on my truck right now, but I see that the office has it. Or yes, Jeff, they could totally call the office and be like, hey, can you spec tag? I need this particular part. Can you spec tag it to me? So there's definitely ways that your technician can indicate via special order that they don't have something on their truck that they need to complete a job. And then you guys in the office can manage getting that part to him by some other means other than special ordering something that you already have. One way to do that is through the parts crossover form. So the parts crossover form, when you open it up, it does a straight look to see if there's anything that's active in your needs to be order screen that matches stuff that's in your stocking inventory. And if it does, then you can actually do a little do-si-do, and the system will help you to move those items so that you can go ahead and fill those special order parts requests as though you are your own PD. So you can do it a couple different ways. You can either go ahead and just cancel out the technician's special order parts request, and then you can spec tag the part, or you can continue to handle it like it's a special order parts request, except instead of getting it from Marcone, you're going to get it from your own warehouse. So you could do it one of two different ways. Let me know if that didn't answer your question. Terry, the tax screen is, let me go back a couple screens here. Right here, when you're looking at the ticket, when you're on the ticket tab, you're going to have the at the top, you're going to see, sorry, I got to go back quite a bit ways here. Right above this, you've got the total due, and then you've got the description of the work, then the labor and the parts, any payments the customer's made. Then you're going to have the subtotals, and below that, you're going to have the tax. So that's going to be on the ticket page. Okay. Okay. All right. So we went ahead and, okay, so here's the tax screen. The next thing that you would do, obviously, if this was like a COD job, is you're going to run a payment. So on that green take payment section, if you click on that little credit card, it's going to open this screen right here where you can go ahead and tell Service Desk if you took cash, check, or a card. And if you have the integrated credit card processing system with Service Desk, then you can go ahead and you can execute a transaction. The next thing that you're going to want to do, or maybe a little earlier in the process, but assuming you've ordered parts, then you're going to want to go back out and fill the request and install the part. So that's going to be a follow-up required. When you choose follow-up required, Service Desk or SD Mobile, excuse me, opens these additional options down here, which are requires authorization, requires a second man, a follow-up job count, and schedule for follow-up. So if in order to proceed with the installation or the part order or whatever, if you can't proceed to complete this job without authorization, then you go ahead and check this box. If you diagnose something that is going to require an extra pair of hands and you need to have somebody else come out with you when you do the follow-up, then you're going to mark requires second man so that when they reschedule this job for you, they know they also need to schedule you a helper. The follow-up job count is back to that original thing where we talked about if this job is going to take twice as long as usual, then you'd want to select 2. If it's going to take 3 times as usual, you'd want to select 3. So there's no particular time frame attached to these job counts. It's whatever if you can do 10 jobs a day or if you can do 6 jobs a day, if this is twice as long as a normal job or a regular job for you, no matter how many jobs you can do. And then you're going to click on this schedule follow-up. And when you do that, it's going to open up this calendar where you can go ahead and pick a time, an actual time. If the customer is like, I got to have you come at a certain time or first thing in the morning. If your office, promises like first of the day or whatever. Otherwise, you can do AM, PM, or anytime. If it's a job that requires you to do follow-up, let's say that you need to call the tech line and walk through the problem with them so that they can determine whether or not they're going to fix or replace the equipment, then you can make this a pseudo appointment. And then you're just going to go ahead and pick a day from the calendar and click save. And when you do that, it adds this follow-up appointment to the job. And then you can go ahead and complete and submit this work. All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about, and it looks like we're just about ready to finish up on time, which is very exciting since I went over by a lot last time, is a new feature that's available it's in the alpha or the test version right now. If you guys want to take advantage of this new feature, you can reach out to Steven and they can hook you up with doing this new version. But basically, what is available to you now is we've always had an integration with the Blue Book, but it's been kind of a pseudo integration in that you would have to go to the Blue Book website and put all the information in And then you would have to come back over to SD Mobile and you could enter the flat rates, but you would still have to do a lot of manual manipulation. What you can do now is click on this little up button. And when you click on the up button there, it's going to take you to the go.mypartshelp.com, the Blue Book page, where you're going to go ahead and be able to select the information that you need from the Blue Book page to create this ticket. Now, remember, if you have the integration with your parts vendors, it's even going to show you where those parts are available, how much they are, how soon you can get them. That's right here where it's got this big red failure on our account. It's because we're not hooked up with any PDs for that actual real information, but that's what you could find there. And once you have all this information in here with the labor codes and the parts that you're going to need, you can go ahead and come back into the system and you got this ticket and you can click on import. And when you click, import on the ticket, it's going to go ahead and import it into your system. So all that information with the parts and the labor and all this stuff is put right into your service or your SD Mobile ticket. Now, you can see here that I've got a couple areas where I've got stuff in red. And then on the right-hand side, you can see where it says auto. So what's going on there is that I have put information in manually. I've typed information into the system that either has basically reset the default in the system. Sandra, I think it's a whole bunch of them, but I cannot answer that question. Actually, you're going to want to go ahead and connect up with Service Company Solutions to get more information about how to hook all that stuff up with My Parts Help. Okay, so what happens here is like I have manually entered a service call and the automatic expectation is that there's no service call because of the flat rate that I put in. If you need their information, we can get it for you. Then you've got taxes. Our tax rate is 8.7%, and this was manually adjusted. So even though it still says 8.7 and it says 8.7 over here, I still reset the flag by editing this at all. So in order to make this go away, I can just click on the auto over here and it'll fill in the information over on the left with the automatically determined information. Now, if the technician put the information in, if he overrode the manual service call, for example, and he knows that that's correct, then this is just a little warning for him. And he's like, yep, I'm good to go. It's no big deal. The next thing that you're going to look at here is the ticket that you've created. So in this case, this is a flat rate job. There's 12 different PDs. Awesome. Thanks, Philip. I knew that there was quite a few. All right. So here's this ticket that we've created from the Blue Book, right? So it's got a Blue Book labor item here for $113.65. And it's got a part here for $113.65. If you are truly flat rating, you may not want your customer to see this information because sometimes they can get a little hostile when they're like, hey, I Googled that part and it's only $35 on Amazon. So on the next screen, what you can do here in the ticket settings is you can hide part numbers, pricing, and subtotals. So you can hide all of that stuff. And when you do that, then the only thing that they're seeing is the ice maker assembly and the labor for a total of $347.47. So that is up to you guys how much of that information your customers need to see or want to see. Now, your technician has some control over that in SD Mobile. However, you can override his control of that in SD Mobile Link. So if you don't want your technician to be able to show pricing ever, then you can actually be like, okay, always hide part numbers or always hide part pricing. So that is the end of my presentation for SD Mobile. Hopefully I've shown you guys some stuff. When will this webinar be repeated? Sarah, it's actually saved. It'll be saved on USAA's website and you'll be able to view it later.
Yes. So we will put it up. It'll probably take about 24 to 48 hours for us to get it up. But you're more than welcome to log in and rewatch it. And a lot of good conversation today, a lot of questions, a lot of interest. This is awesome. So if anyone has any questions that weren't answered, please feel free to reach out to your Rossware rep. You can email Carrie or email whoever your contact is at Rossware, or you can email us and we can get that information to them. So thank you, everybody. And Carrie, thank you for taking time this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Yep. Give us a ring and we'll be happy to answer you guys' questions so that we can get everybody going on mobile.
Yes, it's exciting.
Danny, it'll be uploaded on USA's website, right?
UnitedServicers.com. Yep. Perfect.
Right, perfect. Thanks so much.
Carrie. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.